Today's lesson is square roots, lesson 1.8. The standard is 8EE2, and the objective is to find square roots. The essential question is, why is it helpful to write numbers in different ways? Escape from Radical Prison, adapted from a story by Mrs. Paxton. Two twin brothers were sent to radical prison for a crime they didn't commit. While in prison, they were broken down and worked very hard, but they stayed together. Finally, they decided to escape by digging under the prison wall. Only twins could attempt this escape together. The escape was too dangerous, and one of the twins died. The twin who escaped wasn't sure if he was happy because he escaped or sad because he lost his brother. Warning: when radical prison is empty, it magically disappears. It is never seen again. The radical sign is a checkmark symbol. When there is no number inside, it's called a square root. When you take the square root of a number, you're looking for twins or squared numbers. Once you find twins, one dies, the other escapes. I'm going to break down each equation and look for twins. 4 is really the square root of 2 times 2, and 25 is really 5 times 5. I now have twins. One dies, one escapes. One dies, one escapes. So the square root of 4 over 25 is 2 over 5. I'm going to break down 0 and 49 hundredths to be 0 and 7 tenths times 0 and 7 tenths. Now I have twins. One dies, one escapes. So my answer is plus or minus 0 and 7 tenths. Example 3. The negative square root of 64 can be broken down to 8 times 8. I have twins. One dies, one escapes. So my answer is going to be negative 8. Example 4. The square root of negative 81. This is not possible. You can never have a negative inside the square root. It will never work. You can have one on the outside of the square root, but never on the inside. Example 5. The square root of 50. I can write the square root of 50 as 25 times 2. I don't have any twins, so I can rewrite it again. I can break down 25 to 5 times 5, and then just bring down the 2. Now I have twins. One dies, one escapes. So I'm going to bring out the 5, I'm going to have the root, and I'm going to leave the 2 inside because it doesn't have a twin. So the square root of 50 is also 5 square root of 2. Example 6. The square root of 72 can be broken down to 9 times 8. I know that can be broken down further. So 9 can be broken down to 3 times 3, and 8 can be broken down to 4 times 2. I have twins for my 3s, but I don't have any for my 4s, but I know it can be broken up. So I'm going to bring the 3s down, and 4 can be broken up to 2 times 2, and I'm just going to bring down that 2. Now I have twins. One dies, one escapes. One dies, one escapes. The 2 that escape are going to be multiplied together. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. And the one that doesn't escape stays inside, which is the 2. So the square root of 72 can also be written as 6 root 2. Example 7. The square root of 18 can be broken down to 9 times 2. I know 9 can be broken down further. So it's going to be 3 times 3. And then I'm going to bring down that 2. So now I have my twins. One dies, one escapes. So my answer is going to be 3 root 2. Example 8. The square root of 48. I know I can break up 48 to 8 times 6. And I know I can break those numbers up even further. So 8 can be broken up to 4 times 2, and 6 can be broken up to 3 times 2. I see that 4 can still be broken up. So 4 can be broken up to 2 times 2, and I'm going to bring down that 2 and the 3 and the 2. Now I have my twins. So 1 dies, 1 escapes. 1 dies, 1 escapes. The ones that escape are multiplied together, so 2 times 2 gives me 4. What stays inside the root is the 3. So my answer is 4 root 3. Example 9. Solve the equation. Whenever I have a variable that is squared, I need to take the square root of both sides. So a squared can be written as the root of a times a, and 169 can be written down as the root of 13 times 13. So now I have my twins. 1 dies, 1 escapes. 1 dies, 1 escapes. So my answer would be a equals plus or minus 13. So answers to x squared equations need plus or minus because they don't know if they are happy or if they are sad. Example 10. Solve the equation. N squared equals 0 and 4/100. First, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Then I'm going to rewrite n squared to the root of n times n. And I'm going to rewrite 0 and 4/100 to 0 and 4/10 times 0 and 4/10. Now I have my twins again. So 1 dies, 1 escapes. 1 dies, 1 escapes. So my answer is going to be n equals plus or minus 0 and 4/10. Example 11. Solve the equation. Y squared equals 9 over 16. So first, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Y squared can be rewritten as y times y. 9 over 16, I'm going to leave that in fraction form. So 3 times 3 will give me 9, and 4 times 4 will give me 16. There's my twins again. 1 dies, 1 escapes. 1 dies, 1 escapes. 1 dies, 1 escapes. So my answer is going to be y equals plus or minus 3 over 4.